Good evening, everyone. I'm Rakhi Gautam from Grade HR, the moderator for the session today. I welcome you all today to our 73rd Ask the Expert webinar Parichay. And as you know, today we have a masterclass on ITR filing. Now, before I dive into the topic, let's do a little housekeeping on how the session goes. So, the session, as you know, is divided in two parts. The first part will be the discussion with our expert, which will then be followed by. So, let me, tell you this way. To make this webinar even more useful for you, we have dedicated a session on how your employees can file their ITR without leaving the comfort of the Great HR portal. So please stay tuned for that. And post which, of course, we will open the floor for the audience questions and we will encourage each one of you to participate and ask as many questions as you have. We will be sure to take that up towards the end. Also, the session is currently being recorded. So if you happen to miss out on anything, do not worry at all. We have got you covered. We will share the recording with you once it is done. Also, this session will be available on Great HR's official YouTube channel under the playlist Parichay. So you can always go there and watch the session there. Now, I think we have the quorum with us. So without any further delay, let's start the session. This webinar is designed to demystify the complexities of income tax returns, providing a clear overview of different ITR forms and their applicability. We will delve into the latest amendments and provisions in tax law, highlight common mistakes to avoid, and emphasize on the key deadlines and penalties for late filing. So, whether you are a salaried employee, self employed, or a business owner, this session will equip you with the essential knowledge to file your ITR accurately and efficiently. And as I said, we already have an expert joining us today on anything related to taxes. But apart from this, we also have a session on how you can file your taxes, your ITR easily through Great HR. So please stay tuned for that. Now, let me quickly take you all through the speaker's profile. So, CA Ruchika Bhagat is currently working as the managing director of Brooks Consulting Private Limited, which is a payroll and HR consulting firm. She graduated from the University of Delhi in 1996. She became a member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India in 1998. She's a strategic advisor in setting up businesses in India for foreign companies and taking care of its compliances. She specializes in business advisory, tax, regulatory, and risk advisory. She's a business professional with more than 24 years of rich experience in helping other businesses grow and be more profitable. So, once again, I welcome you, Ruchika, to the session today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Rakhi. First of all, thanks for such a nice introduction. And thanks
You
for
deserve
calling.
it. I'm sure, I didn't say anything that you're not worthy of. So there's that. And, as I said, there are a lot of things that we're going to discuss today. And I can say this for all that we've gotten the perfect person with us today. So thank you so much for joining us. And I think let's quickly get into it. My first question is just, a very basic I want to start off with, which is what are the different types of ITR forms available? And if you could explain the main differences between ITR 1, ITR 2, ITR 3, and ITR 4.
So, Rakhi, this we have to understand that here in India, depending upon the nature of income that you have, depending upon the amount of income that you have, we have different ITRs. So, ITR forms, they have been formed in such a way, they are based on the assessee, the type of assessee you are, and the income that you are earning. So, to begin with, first of all, let me discuss ITR 1. So, here I'll be discussing the forms that are related to individuals. So ITR 1, that is Sahaj form, it is applicable to all the resident individuals who have income up to rupees 50 lakhs. So in case if you have income from salary, you have income from house property, but that is restricted to one house property and other sources. Again, when I say other sources, it means income excluding lottery, crossword puzzles, winning from horses, etc. So if you have income from these sources, then ITR 1 will be applicable to you. So if you have income from agriculture, that is more than rupees 5,000. If you have business income, then in that case, this form will not be applicable to you. Then coming to ITR 2 form. So ITR 2 form is applicable for individuals and HUF who have income other than profit and gains from business profession. So if you have salary income, along with salary income, you have income from house property and you have more than one house property. So in that case, ITR 2 is suitable for you. Again, if you have income other than PGBP, as I said, we have 4 different income. We have salary, house property, capital gains. So if other sources, so if you have income from all these, then ITR 2 is suitable to you. But as I said, if you have PGBP income, then this is not applicable. Then we have ITR 3. So ITR 3 is applicable for individuals and HUF if they have business income. So that means if you have income under head salary, house property, capital gains, PGBP and other sources, then in that case, ITR 3 will be applicable. And then we have ITR 4. So in case of ITR 4, the only difference lies here is in case you have PGBP income, but in business and profession income, you have a presumptive income. So there are certain sections, that is section 44 AD, 44 AD, where the presumptive income applies. So if the presumptive income is applicable on you, then ITR 4 is most suitable document, that is most suitable ITR for filing your returns. But here again, if you have agriculture income that is more than rupees 5,000, then this is not suitable. So when we talk about the difference between all these forms, so to begin with ITR 1 and ITR 2, as I said, ITR 1 and ITR 2, there is just basic differences. In case if income is less than 50 lakhs, then ITR 1 is suitable. More than 50 lakhs, then ITR 2 is suitable. And simultaneously, if you have only one house property, then ITR 1 is suitable to you. But if you have more than one house property, then you have to go for ITR 2. Then if we mark a difference between ITR 2 and ITR 3, so ITR 2 is specifically for all the incomes excluding business and profession. And ITR 3 includes all 5 incomes, that is, it includes business income also. Coming to the last, that is ITR 3 and ITR 4, in fact, both of them, they are applicable on business income. The only difference here is in case of ITR 4, if you have presumptive income, then you are covered under ITR 4. So that is the basic difference between all these ITRs.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Of course, a lot to take from there. Moving on to my next question quickly, which is, we talked about different types of incomes, right? So, if a person has salary income and income from F&O, then which ITR needs to be filed? Also, just to add to that, if he has a salary with capital gains and business income, then which ITR needs to be filed?
So look, we need to know that this F&O income is taxable under head PGBP. So it is not taxable under head salary. So this is the basic difference. So as I said, if you have only salary income, so in that case, we can go with ITR 1, we can go with ITR 2. But now here I am having F&O income, that is PGBP income. So in case of PGBP income, I have to go for ITR 3. But as you said, if you have salary income, you have PGBP income, then you have capital gain income also. So in that case, again, ITR 3 will be applicable. So being individual, if you have salary income other than presumptive income, if you have capital gains, other sources, house property, then ITR 3 is most suitable to you.
Okay, thank you so much for that. I hope everybody is taking their notes because we have a diverse audience joining us. So, whichever is the one that suits you the best, I think you should go with that form. Okay, moving on to my next question, which is what are advanced tax dates and what if tax is not deposited as per those dates?
So before I discuss this advanced tax dates, we need to discuss what is the need of paying advanced tax. So basically, being a layman, if I need to pay tax of around 2 lakhs or 3 lakhs at the end of the year, what will be my mentality? What I'll think? Obviously, I'll try to avoid that tax. So everybody being an individual will try to do the same. So keeping this mentality in mind, the government has made the provisions of advanced tax. So if in case you think that your estimated tax liability is going to exceed more than rupees 10,000, then you have to pay advance tax. So now I have used the word estimated tax liability. Why estimated tax liability? Because currently I'm not aware what all income I'm going to get at the end of the year. So that is why it is estimated tax liability. And that is the main reason. That is why the advance tax has been segregated into different dates so that you can calculate your income by passage of time. So based on this, if you have estimated tax liability more than rupees 10,000, then you need to pay advance tax. So as I said, there are due dates for paying advance tax. So you have to pay your first installment till 15th of June. So till 15th of June, we have to pay 15% of advance tax liability. Then we have 15th September, where you have to pay 45% of estimated tax liability. Then till 15th December, you need to pay 75%. And by the time it reaches end of the year, that is 15th of March, then you have to pay entire estimated tax liability by 15th of March. So by taking an example, let's assume I have estimated tax liability of rupees 1 lakh. So in that case, till 15th June, I need to pay rupees 15,000 as an advance tax. Till 15th September, since I've already paid 15%, that is 15,000. So I need to pay more 30,000. So in total, I need to pay 45% of the tax, estimated tax till 15th September. Then till 15th December, I need to pay 75%. That means I need to pay 75,000 till 15th December. Since I've already paid 45,000, so I need to pay more by 30,000. And till 15th March, I need to pay entire 1 lakh as my advance tax. So that there is no tax liability left. So if in case I'm not paying my advance tax as per this schedule, then in that case, there is an interest penalty under section 234B and 234C. So 234B says that if your entire advance tax, so whatever advance tax you have paid, is less than 90% of your total assessed tax, then you need to pay 1% per month. Here, I need to mention that part of the month will also be considered as full month as a interest to the government. And same goes with 234C. There also you need to pay 1% as your advance tax. So basically, these are the points that need to be considered while paying advance tax. So if you say for the salary class employees, so there is normally TDS deducted. So TDS is deducted on the basis of advance tax so that at least your advance tax is also covered. One thing. Another thing I also want to mention here. What if I have a capital gain? So I know that I am getting a salary. So salary is consistent. But what about capital gains? So if in case during any point of time during the year I have sold my property, I still think that I'll sell my property, but I don't know by what price, at what price it will be sold. So in that case, the advance tax liability arises only from that quarter when I have sold that property or when I have incurred the capital gains. So these provisions need to be taken care of at the time of calculating your advance tax.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Ruchika. Just one feedback that we have received is when you're using abbreviations, just please share the full form as well of all those that we're using, so everybody is aware.
Sure.
Okay, now just to make it more interactive, to make the session more interactive, I have a poll questions for all our audience here. So we have some almost 450 people joining us today. At this moment, I'm going to launch a poll. I would request each one of you to participate so that it helps us understand your perspective, helps us understand your expertise as well. And I'm going to launch the poll now. Okay, the poll is Aadhaar number necessary to link while filing income tax return? So the options that you have are yes, no, cannot say. Wow, I like the speed as well. Some 45%, 50% already voted. Great. Love the enthusiasm today. Okay, we're going to have this for another 40 seconds. Everybody, please participate if you already haven't chosen your choice. And of course, Ruchika is going to tell us which is the correct answer. And we're going to get virtual chocolates or anything like that. Do we have? Okay. Um, Just 20% remaining. Please, everybody, participate and share your thoughts. What is it that you feel is the correct answer? Okay, for another 4, 5. Okay. I'm going to end the poll now. Let's see how many shared what. Let me share the result with all of you so that it's you all can also understand. Okay, a lot of 85% is saying yes, 14% said no, and 2% said cannot say. Okay, over to you, Ruchika. What is the right answer?
Well, will answer goes by majority. Yes, the
Okay,
answer is
sure.
Radha.
Thank you so much. So I think a lot of people already have done their homework here, of course. We know the answer is yes. So thank you so much, everybody, for participating in this poll. It helps the session, to make the session more interactive and engaging. Okay. Quickly coming, anything that you would like to add here, Ruchika, on this?
So I'll be discussing this point later on. I think we have one question over it.
Sure, sure. Okay, so quickly moving on to my next question, which is now whenever it comes to taxes or whenever it comes to specifically filing those taxes, it's always sort of a very tough job. It feels like such a hassle, right? So, can you share some tips on how to make the ITR filing process smoother and less stressful for all of us?
I agree with you, Rakesh. So in this case, we have to make this clear in our minds. Anyhow, we need to file our ITR. Whether this is stressful or this is a hectic procedure, but still, let be legally compliant and we should file our ITR. One thing. Another thing is we can make this more hassle-free. We can make this more smoother. That is, we can reduce the stress level at the time of filing of ITR by taking care of certain, I say, minute things. That is, we need to have all the documents handy at the time of filing of ITR. So whenever you are filing your ITRs, you should have your Form 16. You should have your bank statement. You should have your investment details with you. Your loan statement should be there with you. So basically, there are some basic documents that you need to have at the time of filing of ITR so that to make this all procedure more hassle-free. So just now only I have discussed ITR forms also. So you should know what is your exactly ITR form, in which form you need to file your ITR. One thing. Then another thing is you should always calculate your tax liabilities correctly. So you see nowadays it is getting so smoother. There are so many portals, there are so many software. In fact, income tax portal itself provides your software where you can calculate your income tax. So there are so many facilities are there. You can use all those facilities to determine your tax liability. So point here, one more point here arises, as we all know, there are basically two tax regimes, old and new tax regime. So where we should file, where I should file return, whether in new or old. Again, there are so many softwares where you can determine which one is more beneficial to you, either new or old. So being a salary class employee, or being a person who is not having business income, it is very easy for you to make a choice or to switch over from old to new or new to old each and every year. So you need to check which one is more beneficial to you, and then you can make a choice and then you file ITR according to that tax regime. As I said, that these softwares are readily available. So anytime you can find these softwares. You can also do one thing. You can while filing your taxes, you need to check whether there is any advanced tax liability or whether there is any tax pending or not. So the same has to be paid as a self-assessment tax along with the interest. So that thing you need to always take in care. Another thing is, if in case you have tax refunds, so you need to check the bank that you have mentioned in your ITR, income tax return, that should be operational so that later on you need not to again pre-validate your bank details to get the income tax refund. So ultimately you will be losing interest, and obviously your refund will be coming late. So all these things, they are the basic things that you need to take care at the time of filing your ITR so that your filing of ITR is more hassle-free, it is more smooth.
Thank you so much for that, Ruchika. I'm sure this helps. And just to add on to that, we also have a presentation ready for all of you. It's going to be very quick, but very insightful. how to make this idea filing process more smoother and less stressful for you. So we'll have that as well. Okay, moving on to my next question, which is somewhat and a follow-up question to this question, which is, what are people's most common errors when filing their ideas, and of course how we can avoid that?
So being a professional, I can tell you regarding this. What normally happens where, in fact, what normally I face the issues at the time of filing of idea is whenever a SSC comes to us and he says, yeah, I need to file this idea and I have this and this income. And we open their AIS and we find that they have income from FNOs, they have income from mutual funds, they have capital gains. And when we ask them, आपकी तो ये भी income है. So normally they say, पता नहीं कहाँ से आई है, मेरी तो नहीं है. I never invested. So I always tell the people, you should always disclose your income, because anyhow, even if you don't disclose, it is always available in your AIS. It is always available in 26 years. So you should always disclose your income at the time of filing of ITR. That is the main thing. That is, any incorrect personal information or any incorrect income disclosure can ultimately lead to penalty or prosecution. So better avoid that, because everything is online nowadays. So we need to disclose one thing. Second thing is, as I said, at the time of claiming these deductions and exemptions, specifically under section 80. So we should always, even though we do not submit the documents, but we should always have the documents in hand for claiming those deductions. And wherever required in ITR, we should fill the information with regard to that. So any incorrect claim of deduction can lead to penalties and prosecutions. Another thing that I want to discuss, that there are due dates for filing of returns. So better file your return within time rather than filing delayed return and then paying taxes. If in case your TDS has not been deducted in full, or if in case there is some mismatch between TDS and your tax liability, so it is better to pay self-assessment tax. So there are basically few small things that add up ultimately later on to pay you penalties and to face prosecution. So it is better that we avoid all this. Sometimes it do happens that you have exempt income. So you think this is exempt income, you don't have to disclose it, but it is better to disclose exempt income also. But ultimately, because it is exempt, so you don't have to pay taxes. But still you need to disclose all those incomes also that are exempt. And then we can claim that those incomes are exempt. Similarly, in case of capital gains. So normally it happens, you sell some property, a big amount, a hefty amount is appearing in your bank, but you don't intend to show those capital gains just because you don't want to pay taxes or due to any XYZ reason. So it is better to disclose all those capital gains. But because anyhow, if your bank is being hit by that amount, so government is anyhow is aware of. And as I said, everything is online. So we need to check that. So basically, these are some basic errors that are always there. One more thing that I want to discuss here is regarding the residential status. So normally it happens. So many a times SSC come to us, they have a residential status, but still they think that they are non-resident, so income will not be taxable here in India. So you need to check your residential status, whether you are resident or you are non-resident, prior to filing of income tax. So if in case you have any doubts regarding your income, if you have any doubts regarding your tax, anytime you can consult a professional for this. He can help you in a better way for sorting all these things, so that it do not add more penalties or more burden, tax liabilities on you.
Sure, thank you for that, Ruchika. You did touch upon always being cautious of the due date and always be on time, right? While filing your idea. So please tell us, what are the due dates for filing ITR this time?
So due dates are same as the last year, so there have been no change. So if in case you are individual, then that is, you have salary employee, you are having income from business and profession, you are a Hindu undivided family is there. So for all those, it is 31st July only. But where you need to get your books of accounts audited, then in that case, it is 30th September. So in case of partnership firm, if the firm is books of accounts are being audited, so in that case the partners are also supposed to file their return by 30th of September. They are not supposed to file by 31st of July. So let us to make it more simpler, I must say, for all it is 31st July, but all those who are getting the books of accounts audited, it is 30th September. And if transfer pricing is there, then 30th November is there. Then we have belated and revised returns also till 31st December of assessment year. You can file your belated or revised returns. So basically, these are some of the dates that are basically more relevant for us that we need to know.
Sure. Thank you so much, Ruchika, for that. I hope everybody has taken down their notes, blocked their calendars right now, as you do for our webinars. So please be cautious of these
Exactly,
dates.
because 31st July is coming, and now for 23, 24, 31st July will be the last date for individuals.
Okay, so everybody, let's keep at it and file our taxes before that.
So this is
Okay.
something good that we are having this webinar now.
Yeah, at the right time, I must say.
Exactly, yes.
Okay, so again, I have another poll coming in, which is I'm going to launch the poll now. And as a lot of you participated in the previous poll, I would request all of you to do now as well. How to e-verify income tax return through Aadhaar number OTP, generation of EVC, or all of the above. So whatever you feel is the right answer, you can click on that. And of course, Ruchika is going to be the genie here who's going to tell us which is the right one. So okay. 50% of you have already participated. The rest of 50%, let's not stay behind and participate ASAP. And I hope all of you are enjoying the discussion, are finding it insightful. You're taking down your notes, and we'll soon be taking all your questions as well. So if you have any questions, a lot of those might be answered in the question answer session that we are having right now. Or if there's anything else apart from this, you can always ask that in your Q&A option, which is available on your screen, and we will take that up. Also, I saw some of you raising your hands. So again, any question, any feedback that you have, you can just type it and we'll take that up. Okay, I'm going to end the poll now and share the results with all of you. Okay, here we go. Okay, so it's sort of a mixed match that we have. 38% saying through Aadhaar number OTP, a very few 5% saying generation of EVC, and 56% saying all of the above. So, what's the correct answer?
Well, the answer is all of the above, because if you do not e-verify your return, it will be invalid. So you need to e-verify your return, and that is through all the methods. That is all the methods that has been mentioned here. It is through Aadhaar verification, it is through EVC.
Okay, thank you so much. So 56% again, the majority was right. But even if you answered or clicked on the wrong choice, now you know the right answer. So let's abide by that. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing this and quickly move on to my next question, which was, what are the consequences of missing the ITR filing deadline?
Okay, so if we file ITR deadlines, so as now we have discussed the due dates for filing ITR. So if in case we do not file ITR within time limit, so there are penalties. First of all, under section 234A, that is at the rate of 1% again per month. As I said earlier, part of the month will be considered as full month. But the main drawback here is that if in case we do not file our ITR on time, then in that case, we cannot carry forward our losses. So that is the main drawback. So if any person want to carry forward the losses and to want to set off those losses against the income, then in that case, you need to file your ITR within due time. Similarly, as I said, there are penalties. So it is not only interest that is charged under 234A, but there are other penalties also for concealment of income. So it is better to file your return within time. Similarly, if we do not file our return within time, so normally what happens is, in case if you have refund, so that refund procedures take time. So obviously you are going to lose the interest on that refund. One thing. Another thing is the processing will get delayed. So all these things, they add on more to your additional penalties and prosecutions. And apart from this, as I said, that you will be filing, that you will be paying penalties. There are also penalty of rupees 5,000 in case if your income, that is, if you do not file your return within up to 31st December. If in case your income is more than rupees 5 lakh, then your penalty amount that exceeds up to rupees 10,000. So we need to take care of that also. What is the exact penalty amount if you are filing your return late? So apart from interest, penalties are there. And as I said, the main basic disadvantage is any person who want to set off the losses, he or she cannot set off the losses if the return is filed late. That is after the due dates.
Okay, thank you for that. Now that we talked about, consequences of missing the deadline, if you could also please share us the provisions of belated returns.
So, when I talk about belated returns, so belated returns, I have shared the due dates for belated returns. So, what is belated return? First of all, if I'm filing the late return, then that is called belated return. So, belated return always steps into the shoes of your original return. The only disadvantage that I get is I cannot set off my losses. So, anyhow, belated returns can be filed up to 31st December of your assessment year, as I have discussed. But it is again along with penalties that I have already discussed, that is 5,000 or 10,000 depending upon your income.
Okay, thank you for that, Ruchika. Again, because we have a lot to cover as well, I'm just going to quickly move on to my next question, which is what is ITRU? I came across something like this, but again, if you could please share and elaborate more on that.
So basically, ITRU is updated return. So what if I have missed the deadline of belated return? I missed the deadline of original return. I missed the deadline of belated return. So now where exactly I stand now? So here comes the ITRU. That is updated return. So we can file updated return, but the disadvantage here is at the time of filing this ITRU, you cannot ever get a refund. So ITRU can be filed along with paying taxes.
Okay, so of course, I don't think anybody would want that. So let's stick to the
Exactly.
deadline
So
before that.
better to file your return within time. So you have to pay your additional tax, and then if it is paid within 1 year, ITRU is filed within 1 year, then tax is up to 25% you have to pay in advance at the time of filing ITRU. If it is more than 1 year, like 2 years, then up to 50% of the tax you have to pay along with ITRU. So maximum it can be filed for 2 assessment years only, for last 2 assessment years only. This we have to keep in mind.
Okay, thank you for that, Ruchika. I'm just going to launch the last poll of this webinar today for all of you. Okay, so the question is exemption on a gift from the employer available on the new tax regime? Yes, no, cannot say. So I would urge all of you to participate. We have just a couple of questions from our end, and then we'll quickly move on to the presentation and then to your questions. So everybody, please stay tuned in. Stay towards the end. We have a lot to cover still, so we would need you here with us. Okay, so 50% of you have already voted. The rest of you, please do. I'm just going to keep this for another 15 seconds, and then we'll end the poll. Okay, I think we have the quorum with us. I'm going to end the poll now and share the result with all of you. Okay, so the answer majority says 59% no, 29% yes, and 13% cannot say. Okay, Ruchika, over to you.
Well, I'm wondering this time majority is wrong because answer is yes. So I want to discuss regarding old and new tax regime. So most of you are aware of old and new tax regime, but still I want to discuss Because this answer is wrong. The majority of you have given the wrong answer. So look, the major difference between old and new tax regime, one thing is, yes, with regard to the tax rate slab rate. The another difference, as we all know, under new tax regime, we are not getting the deductions and allowances. So when I say gift up to rupees 5,000 is exempt if it is given by employer. It should not be it should not be in cash. If it is through cash or bank, then it is fully taxable. But if it is in any other form, vouchers, then it is exempt. So this exemption is covered under perquisite. It is not covered under section 10 or it is not covered under allowances. So the deduction and allowances are not available in new tax regime, but perquisites are still there. For example, you cannot claim house rent allowance in new tax regime, but you can claim rent-free accommodation in new tax regime. On similar lines, gift is there. That is, you can claim the benefit of gift if you are getting up to rupees 5,000, it is exempt under new tax regime also.
Sure. Thank you so much, Ruchika, for clearing that up for us. And I think this calls for a webinar on old and new tax regime. I think this is the time that we do it again. So everybody who's interested in that, we'll keep you posted. We might come up with a webinar in the next 2 months on old and new tax regime. So that would be, I think, very insightful for all of you. You can ask any questions related to that there. Okay, quickly moving on to my next question, which is, I think you did touch upon this, but just to make it very quick and crisp, if you could please share the documents and information which the taxpayers should gather before starting the IDF filing process.
So this I have already discussed that you should always in hand at the time of, you should always have these documents in hand at the time of filing of return. That is, you should always have all the exemptions and deductions documents, whatever you want to claim in your return. Similarly, you should always have your AIS 26AS with you. You should always have your PAN, Aadhaar number. These are some of the documents that are mandatorily required at the time of filing of your ITR. Apart from this, if in case you have a capital gain, so you should have the documents with you with regard to the capital gains. In case you are having the capital gains through mutual funds, so there is capital gain account, there is capital gain statement. So you should have that capital gain statement with you at the time of filing of return. It is not that it will go along with ITR, but we need to have those documents. Similarly, if you are dealing with, as I said, like you are claiming the deductions under section 80, then you should have all those documents with you, even though, as I said, they are not going to be filed along with return, but you should have those documents ready with you so that anytime, if required, you can show those documents, or you should have those supportings with you. Apart from this, if you have any foreign assets, then you should have a proof of that you have the foreign assets. So basically, these are some of the basic documents that you should always have at the time of filing of your return.
Okay, thank you for that, Ruchika. Again, I hope everybody has taken down their notes. Quickly moving on to my next question, which is, if you could highlight the major amendments in the latest tax law that taxpayers should be aware of.
So, this time there was no such major amendment in income tax with regard to individual taxation. So almost tax rates are same, ITRs are same. Then deductions, exemptions, the old tax regime and new tax regime, even that is same. So everything, in fact, is almost same. As such, there is no major difference between what tax was there last year and what tax are prevailing current year. So it is just that you should always mention the bank account, that is your operational bank account. Even you have banking with multiple banks, but make sure that you always quote down that bank account that is operational.
Okay. Thank you for that, Ruchika. My last question for the day, you did touch upon this as well, but just to quickly conclude, what precautions should be taken to avoid mistakes related to deductions and exemptions?
So as I always say, you should have documents with you while claiming the deductions or exemptions, because normally what happens is allowances are based on, the reimbursements are based on the invoices that you are submitting to your employer. So you should have all those invoices with you while claiming all those allowances. One thing. Another thing specifically I want to mention here, at the time of claiming HRA. So at the time of claiming HRA, if your rent that is paid is more than rupees 1 lakh, so in that case, you need to mention your landlord PAN number in ITR. Similarly, if you are paying rent more than rupees 50,000 per month, then you have to deduct TDS of your landlord. So here the TDS need not to be deducted per month on per month basis. You can deduct the TDS at the end of the year also. One thing. Similarly, as I said, in fact, I think I have mostly covered all the deductions or all the documents that need to be filed. But these are some of the basic documents that we need to take care. Apart from this, if you think that you are claiming any double deduction, because that normally happens. So if you are getting the same benefit in a different section also, so try to avoid that. Don't claim double deductions. So these are the basic things that you need to take care. And as I always say, if you think that you cannot file or you are facing some issues with regard to filing of your ITR, you better take a professional assistance.
Sure. Thank you so much for that, Ruchika. This was definitely a very insightful and enlightening session today. Thank you for sharing all those knowledge of nuggets with us. It was definitely very useful. And I'm sure our audience would agree with that. Audience, again, we're going to take your questions very soon. In the meantime, if you have any feedback on this particular session, please start sharing that. We'll be happy to, know what you felt about this session that we just had. Now, as promised, I would like to invite Mr. Shobit Gaur, Product Marketing Manager, and Shashank K, Associate Product Manager at Create HR, to take us through a very short and crisp presentation on how your employees can file their ITR through Great HR very easily and smoothly. So please stay with us for that. And after that, we'll take your questions. So over to you, Shobit.
Hey, thank you, Rakhi. Wonderful and insightful conversation between Ruchika and Rakhi. Thanks for that. Great HR wants everybody in the audience to file their taxes on time and very easily. And we have actually created a marketplace specially for that. In this presentation, I'll basically walk you through the entire steps involved, and my colleague Shashank will give you like a live walkthrough for it as well. In the last section of the slide, I go deeper into how you can do it very, very quickly. And like Ruchika mentioned, take professional help for it as well. So here we go. So what is Unite Marketplace? So Unite Marketplace is a B2B marketplace where we have over 25 trusted applications. And they are included in categories that HR people mostly use or mostly turn to, like, for example, background verification, tax filing, and it can be lending and other categories as well. Why we made Unite and what are the benefits for you is all the apps that you use the most frequently, we want you to use them in one place in the comfort of Great HR platform. You don't have to go anywhere else to do that. We have made sure that all the apps are basically checked for quality and security. And the main important point is we want to reduce your repeated work. So you don't have to fill all the forms repeatedly. All the data gets transferred automatically from Great HR to these apps. So you can focus more on your productivity. How does it work, this marketplace? Very, very simple 3 steps. First step is you need to accept the terms and conditions for the marketplace. You'll enter it. Then you go to the app that you really want to use. You go through the language there, you go through the profile, and you just enable it. And post that, you can start using the app. As an example, I'm talking about ClearTax. So ClearTax is also one of the most frequently used apps within our platform, Unite. most of you might know about ClearTax already, but how can you use ClearTax through this Unite platform? What are the benefits for you? The major benefit for you is we made it very easy for you to use it. You don't have to go anywhere else. Within Great HR's platform, you go to Unite and start using the app. The second bit is easy filing of taxes. All your data from Form 16 auto-populated into your tax forms, and you can actually finish the process of filing your taxes within minutes. The crucial point that I want to tell you, this is only exclusive for all of our customers, is the amount of discounts that ClearTax is offering on tax filing fee. The discounts are crazy. It's up to 65%, only exclusive for our customers and their employees. The last bit is ensuring of accurate tax processing. ClearTax is India's most trusted tax filing application. It has filed taxes for millions of Indians across decades. So your tax filing is always accurate. That's ensured by the ClearTax app. Those were the main reasons that we think you should give it a try. Use the ClearTax app within the Unite platform. And over to my colleague Shashank to show you how you can actually do it. How can you see it from the platform itself? Shashank?
Yeah, thank you, Shobit. Hello, everyone. Let me share my screen. Yes. So I'll be taking you through two different flows now. That is, one is the admin flow, how as an HR admin you can enable ClearTax to your employees, and one more is the employee flow, how employee will use the application, right? So I have logged into my HR admin portal. I have logged in as an HR now. So using this logo or icon, you will be able to access your marketplace, that is the Unite Marketplace. Under Unite Marketplace, you'll be able to browse through all the applications that we have integrated, like Shobit mentioned earlier. Under that, you can find ClearTax, where you need to click on View Details. On clicking View Details, the app landing page will open for the for ClearTax. Just give me 1 second. Yes, so app landing page will be opened for ClearTax, where there will be multiple tabs, and in this page you'll get to know the entire benefit and what is the app about and how to use the app and how will your employees get benefited. All this information will be available in this page for you. Now, coming to how to go forward, how to go forward and enable this to your employees, you need to click on Get Started, or there is another CTA Contact app, where if you want more information other than what is available here, you can just contact the app. We can set up a meeting and you can proceed further with it, right? Or if you have enough information, you can just click on Get Started. There will be a consent form, or we call it as a form where these details will be passed to the vendor or the ClearTax application from your admin portal, right? Now, on clicking Accept and Proceed, the instantly app is active. That is, all your employees, if you have 100 employees, all your 100 employees will have access to ClearTax under their ESS portal. That's what I'm going to demo now. Just give me 1 second. Let me log out of admin portal and let me log in as an employee now. So I currently am logging in as an employee to my ESS portal. So what you're seeing currently is the home page of my ESS portal as an employee. And similar to the admin portal, as an employee, I'm able to see the Unite icon here. So on clicking as an employee, I'll be clicking on the Unite icon. So immediately I'll be able to browse all the apps that my admin has enabled for me, right? One of those applications is ClearTax. And as an employee, I need to click on View Details. Again, similar to admin, as an employee, I'll be able to research more about this application under this page about how to file the taxes and how to enable and how to move forward, right? Now, coming to similar to the admin, the employee also needs to enable, click enable, and he needs to continue the process, accept and proceed. I'll quickly play a video to take you through this process of filing the entire thing. Just give me 1 second. Yes, hope you are able to see my screen. Let me.
Hi everyone, and welcome. Today, we'll show how you can easily access and use ClearTax within the Great HR ESS portal. This makes filing taxes a breeze, all in one place. First things first, log into your Great HR ESS portal like you normally would. Once you're in, navigate to the Unite by Great HR tab. It's where you'll find all the amazing apps and services available to you. Within Unite by Great HR, look for the ClearTax app. Once you locate it, simply click Enable to activate the app for your use. A permissions window will pop up. Don't worry, these are standard permissions necessary for ClearTax to work seamlessly within the portal. Just review and accept them to proceed. Now that ClearTax is enabled, you can access it anytime within the Unite Marketplace. The ClearTax app again, and it will open directly in your browser once the app is enabled. To get started with filing your taxes, the app will guide you through a user-friendly process. One of the first steps will likely involve uploading your Form 16. Make sure you have it handy for a smooth experience. Once uploaded, ClearTax will read the details from the form and pre-fill the details for you. Just scroll through the steps, choose your required plan and pricing, and file your taxes. That's it. With ClearTax in your Great HR portal, tax filing becomes simple and efficient. No need to switch between apps or juggle paperwork. For a more detailed guide or if you have any questions, be sure to check out the resources provided by your HR team or access the ClearTax support website. Thanks for watching. Hi everyone.
So thank you, and that is the end of my demo. So with admin and employee, over to you, Raki, for next steps.
Thank you so much, Shashank, and thank you so much, Shobit, as well, for quickly demonstrating us how easily we can file our ITRs through Great HR with the integration of ClearTax app. Shashank, I would request you to please stop sharing your screen so that we can quickly move on to the audience Q&A. Thank you so much. I hope everybody found the session insightful. Now, as promised, we have covered the first two bits, the session with our expert and then a special presentation by Great HR team. And now the third bit, which I'm sure all of you are waiting for, is your answers. Of course, answers that we are going to give you. Okay, so the first question, quickly I'm going to get into it, is Ruchika, for you, what is PGPP income? We talked about.
So PGPP, yes, I was using abbreviations earlier. So PGPP is profit and gains from business profession.
Okay, I hope that answers the question for you.
That is, whenever you have business income, so that counts for PGPP.
Got it. Okay, moving on to the next question, which is from Anil. Is advanced tax applicable on salary income?
So as I said earlier also, look, in case of salary, your employer is deducting your TDS. So whenever he deducts TDS, it is in such a way that it covers your advanced tax liability also. So yes, you can say in a way it is applicable, but somehow because your TDS is being deducted, so you are already covered.
Okay. Since we have a lot of questions, I'm going to make it quick and like a rapid fire. Moving on to the next question from Trupti, which is under new tax regime. Okay, just a moment. Yeah, under new tax regime, can we claim housing loan expenses?
No, you cannot claim housing loan expenses.
Okay.
224 exemption is not available.
Okay. Next question is from, so a lot of questions are popping in. That's why my screen is moving upwards. Okay. The next question is from Suhas. As an employer, while filing the 24Q, we received a notification says there are few inoperative PANs. Is this issue because of non-linking of Aadhaar and PAN?
Exactly. So your employees, they would have not linked their Aadhaar with PAN. So, and in fact, the government extended that date till 31st May.
Okay. I hope you have taken the note of that. Sharon is asking to elaborate on old and new tax regime. As I said, we will have another session on this. But Ruchika, if like in 60 seconds you want to like give a different sort of on old and new tax regime.
So look, this I've already discussed, but there are a lot of deductions and exemptions, and along with that, I need to discuss PF and NPS also to discuss old and new tax regime. So obviously, yes, it is going to take one entire session if I'm going to discuss that.
Sure, let's wait for that. And in the meantime, Just a moment. Again, a lot of questions. Yeah, Sharon, in the meantime, if you still want to know more about it, we have a knowledge sharing platform called Great Tribe Community. You can always post this question there, and we have a lot of reading materials there that you can go through. Ruchika is, in fact, a part of that community as an expert. So we will be able to guide you there. Moving on to the next question, which is, can we have a, okay. Uh, Again, too many questions coming up. Just a moment. What is the again, we have taken these questions, but what is the penalty of if a private limited company fails to submit the TDS on or before 7th of each month?
That is 1.5% per month on the tax that was supposed to be deposited.
Okay. Next question is from Bhanu. Should we start filing ITR or wait till 15th of June for the AIS updation?
So look, normally till 31st May, all TDS returns are filed, and it takes around a week or a 10 days to get all these returns uploaded, and you get your updated AIS. So yes, you can anytime file your ITRs after 15th of June.
Thank you. Again, Yogesh is asking what is the last day to file the ITR for 23-24. So this was addressed. It was 31st July.
It is same as per last year. So no dates, there is no change with regard to the date of filing of ITRs.
Okay, next question is from Kiran Kumar. For capital gains, if the income falls in 2 financial years, is it fine to file in the later financial year?
Sorry, can you come again regarding this question?
So the question is, for capital gains, if the income falls in 2 financial years, is it fine to file in the later financial year?
So how come the income fall within 2 financial years? It is as and when you will sell the property, you will get the capital gains. So it can be that you can get the sale consideration in installments, but ultimately capital gains will be counted from the day when you have actually sold that property, irrespective of when you are getting the sale consideration.
Okay, moving on to the next question from Kavita. When we file our individual returns, do we have an option to opt for any tax regime, or do we need to stick to the regime that we opted for at the beginning of the financial year?
So this you need to know that every time your new tax regime by default will be your tax regime. So if in case you want to opt for old tax regime, then you have to opt out from new tax regime and log into old tax regime.
Okay. Next question is from Tushar Mahajan. Is PF contribution exempted in new tax regime under section 1012?
So as I said, there are PF deductions can be availed, but regarding NPS, there are certain deductions that are available in old, that is ATCCD 1 is available in old, but not under new tax regime. ATCCD 2 is available in both tax regime, that is old as well as new.
Okay. Next question. A lot of people are asking for the recorded session. Yes, as I promised in the beginning, this will be sent to you, the link of the recording. Also, it will be on the Great HR YouTube channel, so you can always watch it there. A lot of questions from changing the regime. I think Ruchika has already answered that. And of course, we will have a dedicated session after as well. So you can be rest assured we'll take all those there. Okay, the next question is from Suresh Kumar. What is the percentage of tax for paying the rental more than 50,000 per month?
What is the percentage of tax? TDS. Okay, that is 5%.
That is 5%. Okay, next question is, can I claim house rent amount in new tax regime?
HRA is not available in new tax regime. It is only available in old tax regime. As I said, in new tax regime, you can claim rent-free accommodation.
Okay. Next question. Can we file current and past year ITR together? Also, if yes, then past how many years?
So as I told, then in that case, provisions of ITR-U will be applicable. So you can file till previous two assessment years return, you can file in under ITR-U. The only disadvantage, as I said, is with regard that you are not going to get refund. In fact, you have to pay taxes.
Okay. Next question. Moment. In perquisites, it's from Navneet Sharma. In perquisites, car lease benefit, fuel and driver salary, LTA, food allowance, etc., can be claimed under new regime or not.
Look, you need to take this. This is it just should be very much clear that perquisites are same in old and new tax regime. The changes are only and only with regard to allowances and only with regard to Section 10 exemptions, deductions. That's it. So
Okay.
80 deductions are new and tax regime affects only 80 deductions. It affects Section 10 deduction. It affects your allowances. It do not affect your perquisites.
Okay, next question is from Swapnil. Ma'am, can you guide us for form number 10IEA for opting to old regime?
So that is applicable only if you don't have income from PGBP. So if you have income from PGBP, then only you need to file this form 10 IEA because you need to shift from old to new or new to old. But in case if you have salary income or any income other than PGBP, then any time you can switch over from new to old or old to new each and every year.
Next question is from Bharti Jagtap. Partial amount of TDS for 23-24 got credited in my account in the month of August 2023. Can I withdraw that amount in this current month?
Part of the amount has been deducted as TDS.
So partial amount of TDS for 23-24. Okay, so just a moment. I have a lot of questions coming in. Yes, partial amount of TDS for 23-24 got credited in my account in the month of August 2023. Can I withdraw that amount in this current month?
Look, TDS you can claim in your return, whatever TDS has been deducted. And if in case extra TDS has been deducted, then in that case, you can claim refund at the time of filing of your ITR.
Okay. Next question is from Subhash Nayak. Due to PAN Aadhaar not linked, company deducted 20% TDS from salary. Today, I linked my Aadhaar PAN. Can I claim refund on the same?
No, it is too late. You were supposed to link it till 31st of May. So since you have not linked it, the government has extended the date till 31st May. Just because of this, in case if you don't link, then tax at the rate of 20% will be there because you are not you have not linked. So I'm sorry for that. Nothing can happen now.
Okay. Next question is from Bhargavi. If inactive employees PAN is invalid, and company has got a notification from income tax department after the TDS quarterly filing, what can the company do in that case?
So company has to revise the TDS returns. Again, they have to pay TDS along with interest. In this case,
Okay, thank you for that. Next question is from Abhishek Rao. Is there marriage certificate patrika should be applicable to get deduction reimbursement on an ITR proof?
as such, no benefit is there. In fact, this is something new that I'm listening.
Yes. If you have another question, maybe there could be a little confusion. So you can rewrite that question for us, and I'm sure we will share insights on that. Okay. So going to take a last couple of questions, which is under the new tax regime. This is from Dhanu Shraj. Under the new tax regime, the purchase of the computer table is taxable for a salaried person or not? If that purchase was taxable.
Under
Okay.
new tax regime, purchase of
A computer table is taxable.
it depends under what head your employer is providing. Is it work from home facility that employer is providing? So you need to check that first of all.
Okay. I'll take one last question from Srishti. Can we link PAN and Aadhaar card with penalty now? Once filing is done by the employer, also we need to
Look, that you can do anytime. You can do anytime, but you should, in fact, each and every employee should be aware of it. In fact, we tell HR also that you should always check that all the employees, they have this PAN and Aadhaar linked at the time of recruitment, even during mid of the year. But yes, even as an employee, you should be cautious enough. You should always check that your Aadhaar and PAN is linked.
Okay. Thank you so much for that, Ruchika. And there are two questions that we got. One was from an anonymous attendee, and another was from Anila, related to Great HR and ClearTax, which Shobit and Shashank has answered. So I hope that has been cleared. If there are still any other questions which you would like to know more about related to taxes, I'm going to share a link now with all of you. You can get your answers from there. And as I said, there could be a lot of questions which might have been answered by Ruchika in the beginning of our session. So we will share the recorded link with you. You can always go there and watch it. And first of all, thank you so much, Ruchika, for this session today. We had to extend it by almost 10 minutes, but I think it was a great discussion. We learned a lot, and I'm sure our audience would agree with us on that. So thank you so much for joining us today.
In fact, thanks to you for organizing such a live section, and everybody was involved in this. This is something good. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you to all the attendees as well. Please stay tuned. We still have something more to share with you. Ramya, can we please have the registration link in the chat? Please share it with all the attendees. Okay, let me quickly share it with all of you. Okay, so please check your chat icon right now. There's a registration link that I've shared with all of you. So we have a dedicated webinar planned on the 21st of June on the ITR filing, how you can do it through Great HR app with the integration of ClearTax. So if you're still interested, please register for that webinar and join us for that session as well. We also have this registration live on our social media channels. You can check out our LinkedIn. You will see the post there. You can share the link with your colleagues, your friends, your families as well. And please join us for that session as well. Okay, Ramya, can we have the presentation now on screen? So as I do with all the sessions, when I'm ending all the sessions for our Parichay, we have a Great Tribe community, which is a knowledge sharing platform. So if you have any more questions pending, if you want to connect with more experts like Ruchika, you can do that by signing to this Great Tribe community that you can see on your screen. We have over some 5,000 members in this community. You can ask questions here. You will come across guides that will help you with your taxes, anything related to HR. You can get it here. Apart from this, as we are also live on WhatsApp, this is the QR code. You can scan it and you can connect with us on WhatsApp for any kind of assistance that you may require related to this session, related to our product, related to our support. Anything, you just scan this QR code and we will be happy to connect with you on WhatsApp as well. And once again, thank you so much for joining us. It was definitely an enlightening session. I enjoyed interacting with all of you. And thank you so much for your participation as well. It's always so encouraging to see people participating in polls, sharing their feedback with us. And as promised, I'm going to share this recording with you, all of you, on your email IDs by next week. You will have that, and we will also have Ruchika's email ID on that thank you mailer. So if you want to connect with Ruchika directly, you can do that through that email ID there. Okay, I have just launched another last poll of this session today, which is the feedback form. Of course, we want to understand from you, how did you like the session? If you would like to attend more sessions in the future, please do participate and let us know your feedback. It always helps us to improve and come up with more interesting and knowledgeable sessions. So thank you so much once again for joining us. Thanks to Ruchika, thanks to Shobit and Shashank, thanks to Ramyashri for being there at the back end. And most importantly, thank you to all the attendees for joining us and making this success a huge success. Thank you so much for joining in. Let's see you at the next webinar very soon. Take care. Bye-bye. Have a great day ahead.